Very good morning to one and all. Good morning, Santosh. How are you?
Good morning, ma'am. I'm good. How are you, ma'am?
Yeah, we are also fine. Are you in Sri Lanka?
Yes, ma'am. I'm on visit only. And sorry for that. Even I shared with ma'am that I'll not able to present anything, but definitely I'll try
No.
to do because it is office laptop and I'm not having access for Zoom and I cannot use it actually and I cannot share anything.
No.
So that is the problem.
No problem. Share your experience, how it is feasible for you. You can make it.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Definitely, I'll try my best.
Yeah. Shortly we will
So I
start.
think
Participants are.
everyone has joined.
We will wait. We will wait
Okay.
another.
Sure. I think it is from 10:30, right, ma'am?
Yes. Still time is there,
Yes.
7 minutes. So we will wait.
Yes. I'll just start my camera. Yes.
ನಾನು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ 2 ಸರಿ ಬರೆಯೋಕಿತ್ತು
Or
ಮತ್ತೆ 9 ಟೈಮ್ ಇದೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಬರ್ಸ್ಬೇಕು
Ma'am, sir will be joining. Ganachari sir.
Sir is having exam written now. MS clinical research practicals are going on. Sir is in hospital.
Okay. 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 No problem. Yes. Yes.
Maybe in between, sir is going to join
Okay. No problem, ma'am.
virtually.
Yeah. And what about our ma'am, Gitanjali ma'am? She's doing good now.
Yeah, madam is taking practical, regular practical from.
Okay.
She is
Hmm.
in hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, and madam is also going to join online only.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. No problem. So, ma'am, can we start?
Just a minute, Santosh. How many of them have joined? We will check it once again. Then we will
Yeah,
start.
yeah, sure, sure. Sure, ma'am.
Okay, we will start the session. Um, Very good morning to all. Welcome you all for this third AICT sponsored quality improvement program on emerging trends in clinical research and development, uh, conducted by Department of Pharmacy Practice, Kelly College of Pharmacy, Belagavi. Once again, welcome you all, including Santosh also. We will start
Thank you,
the
ma'am.
first session. Now we have a speaker, Mr. Santosh Shukla. I'm going to introduce Santosh Shukla's biodata, and he has completed both UG and PG pharmacy practice in very prestigious institutions from Kelly College of Pharmacy, Belagavi. And he has total 6 years experience in clinical research. He worked as a CRC in Lotus Labs, Bangalore. Uh, Again, worked as a senior clinical process associate in IQVIA and joined PPD in 2018 as a startup specialist and got promoted to senior startup specialist since April 2021 and again got further promotion to clinical research associate in December 2021. And proudly I can say that he was a best student and he used to involve in so many activities, extracurricular activities and some community based some works and other things he used to involve. And with this brief, I welcome you, Santosh Shukla. And now he's a very busy scheduled person. And right now he is in Sri Lanka. And with this introduction, I welcome you once again, Santosh, and I'll hand over the session to you. So you can more of practical aspects you can discuss with all the delegates. If they have any
Yes,
in between, so we can interact with them. Thank you so much.
sure. So good morning, everyone. Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful description about me. And as ma'am has already introduced me, uh, I'll just go further and try to make it more communicable and even open communication. It should not be like one-sided from my end because I don't have anything to present. So you have to listen me for 1 hour endlessly. So just be vocal and just try to ask questions whenever it is required, and when you have a very small doubt also, because I'm also from the same bench you are just sitting there, so you can ask any question about the job, about what opportunities you will have in future. Any question, any kind of questions, you can reach out to me even during this call and even after the call. So I'll be leaving my number or email ID. You can always reach out to me whenever you seek a help or related to job. So because whenever you are studying here, you have to just focus on your studies instead of thinking about the jobs, because you will have your alumni, the KLE people, they will help you definitely wherever they are. So moving ahead with the topic. So I'm going to tell you about the feasibility because I have spent more than 3.5 years in the startup, and I have done lots of feasibilities, lots of site activations, and what exactly feasibility means. Someone can tell me what is feasibility if anyone knows. what does mean the feasibility. The topic is about feasibility, so I just wanted to know about the background, how much you people understand. It is in a layman, I don't have any problem. You just tell in your language what you understand by feasibility in clinical research.
Easily and
Anyone, please?
conveniently the work done.
Yes. So it is like you have shared a right thing. It is a feasible, and if we are adding it in a clinical research, so how we can make it very convenient for a clinical research, or how we can find out a right PI or right person or right organization with the right amount of setup to do any study. Okay, so this is called a feasibility and startup, which is very important part when you start a study, because here it is like you have to select a site and you have to find out whether that site is correct or not, because everything in the clinical trial will be rely on that feasibility and the startup part. If you have not completed the startup part or the feasibility part, it is like you'll end up with recruiting less patients, because that is the ultimate goal for the clinical research, that we recruit patients into the study or subjects into the study, so we can get a good data to present over RA or to the regulatory authorities. Okay, so I'll moving ahead with the next. So our objective will be for today to learn about how the feasibility get conducted at site, what kind of things we see in feasibility, and to explain more about what is the sponsor view, what is if there is any CRO involved, and how we see site and what kind of things we see at the site when we do feasibility. So first thing, to big, go for a feasibility whenever you are going to be a part of some CRO or sponsor. What kind of basic knowledge you should have is like we do as a CRC. So in CRC, you see that first the science background, that is important, and second thing is whenever you are doing feasibility, you should know about the site, because as a CRC you have already worked as a like for the site and what equipment we use in the clinical trial. So that is very important. And apart from that, the qualification of PI, site staff who is working in the study, that is very important to see whether they are feasible to do this study or not. Because if there is an onco study and I'm giving it to someone else who is not equally qualified to do that, like I'm giving it to some pharma, so it is not feasible to do this study for him or her, the PI. So it is very important that we select a particular PI and a principal investigator per se. So we select a particular PI and work with them, try to understand how they are recruiting the patient, or how they are getting the patient. Do they have the feasibility of those kind of patient at the site or not? So the first and foremost thing which comes when we start the feasibility, anyone knows what it is, which document we use? Anyone from the team? The first document, the first way of communication to the site is what? Any document. One document we use to communicate, and before that we cannot share any protocol, any study related documents. So can anyone tell me? Sorry. Mantish, are you telling something? Because I think you're not audible.
So maybe it's confidential agreement or some MOU.
Yes, so confidential agreement. Yes, so you're right. And it is a confidential agreement which we use. So we call it as a CDA, confidentiality data agreement. So we get it signed from the site. Yes, someone is adding something.
Santosh, just a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Please mute yourself. Unmute yourself. Dear colleague, please unmute yourself. Any questions are there? Lot of disturbance is there. Thank you.
So thank you. I can understand there will be some technical issues or glitches, but yes, nevertheless, as someone shared that it is CDA, which we first proceed and we contact the site or the PI directly to proceed with the study. So yes, it is CDA, but before CDA, it is very important to select a particular site to understand whether that site will able to do the study or not. So for example, if I want to do any cardiac studies, now I have to find out what kind of population we are looking for, whether it is like the patients who are having like the we need a government hospital, we need a private hospital, or we need like those kind of combinations. So whenever we go to RA or regulatory, they always ask for combination of both. We need a government hospital and private hospital, and whether if it is conducted in India or like a global, but in per se, if this is just conducted in India, so we have to cover the whole India, like east, west, north, and south. So that is the primary important whenever you are doing a feasibility. Otherwise, you will get lots of questions from the regulatory that why we have not included uh, the south part, or we don't have anything from east or west. So that kind of questions normally get raised from them. So we see whether this will be like, if you say the dengue, if there is a dengue study, we have to see it should be there in the mostly the government hospital should be selected, because most of the patient pool will be from the government hospital. So that kind of thing first we have to evaluate and try to understand about the PI, read about the PI, know more about the investigator, that how many patients he sees, how will he recruit the patient, and whether he'll have the patient pool or not. Then we get the protocol and we proceed with the CDA. First thing is CDA, we share the CDA with them, and then the CDA, which will go, that needs to be signed, thoroughly read by PI and the site, and they should not disclose any confidentiality of the protocol with anyone. Okay, so that is the first thing we share with them and get it signed, and then we share the synopsis or the protocol, a summary of protocol, you can say, along with the feasibilities, and those feasibilities contains mostly the documents like the details of about the PI, about the site staff, their qualification, their structure, the whole structure of the organization or of the hospital. Mostly those kind of things will be there in the feasibility questionnaires, and we take those questionnaires and we proceed. Like after getting the questionnaires, the second step comes is like we share it with sponsor, and sponsor will review those feasibilities. After reviewing those feasibilities, he will try to find out whether the number of patients we require from the PI, or like we have targeted per site 10 subjects or 20 subjects. So that subject he'll able to provide or not. So that is very important to see. And after that, the facilities, because different sponsor has different criterias. Some sponsors, they provide facilities, some sponsor, they'll ask you to being if you are conducting a research, then you should have all the equipments. It's not like that you don't have fridge, you don't have LAN, you don't have anything, and you are asking for everything. So they're not able to provide everything to you. So this kind of questions comes, and this all data is totally depend that whatever data you are providing over the feasibility, it is very important that whatever you provide, depending on that, the site will get selected. And after that, after the feasibility is done, we go ahead and find out, like from I'll tell you, when we start looking for the site, we contact more than 50. For example, we need 20 sites to add into the study. We go for 50, and 50 sites we contact. In that, some of the get rejected upfront, that they are not interested, or they don't want to do, or they don't have a good facility, or their timeline is not good, kind of that. Some kind of questions will be there. So after that, we do the CDA, we get feasibility done, and even after that, we select max to max 25 sites out of 50. We just get 25 sites, and in that 25 sites, we proceed with the PSV, we call it as a pre-study visit. So in pre-study visit, I have done lots of pre-study visits. So in pre-study visit, you have to go on site, you have to work with the site and ask them all the questions, whatever they have provided in the feasibility questionnaires. So in feasibility questionnaires, you will see that, okay, they have said that this facility is there for IP, what they have, for investigational product, what they are using. So depending on that, we have to see all the facilities they have. Whether if it is a cardiac study, we have to see if they have cardiac facility or not, even if they have emergency facilities or not. So after that, we have to go through all the equipments, whether those equipments are calibrated or not, or the lab requirements, then the EC and the how the ethics committee works and what are the timelines for them, because it is very important to see the timelines. If they are just working and they are taking more than 1 or 2 months, we cannot stick with them, because we need a shorter timeline to recruit the patient, because that is the ultimate goal of the study. So it should be like they should quickly complete everything within like 1 month, the EC part and even the contract part. So there are so many other things which get involved. So whenever we are at the site, what kind of things we see? So for example, if there is a PI, we always ask them only few questions. We present them first what kind of questions or what kind of protocol we present. So in initial, it is very important that your protocol should be very crispy way, that you just share the inclusion exclusion criteria with the PI to not get him confused, because you need the answer of recruitment. So it is important you share the inclusion exclusion criteria, you tell him about this study, and then you share the study assessment, what is going to happen, and the requirements from the study, like what kind of equipments we require at the site, and whether they will able to procure it from their end or not, or we have to provide from our end. So that kind of question should be there. And apart from that, we ask them about their qualification to do this study, whether they have anything to, like, they have done any study, which is very important. If they have done any study, then it will be really helpful to get support from PI, because the PIs, they are very busy. They don't give much time, but they should be aware of clinical trials. Otherwise, it is very difficult to conduct any study at the site, because CRC they will be able to support, but ultimately it is a whole and sole responsibility of investigator. So apart from that, we go through the site staff, study nurse, whoever is participating in the study. We have to see whether those people are qualified enough to do this study or not. And then the equipment part, we always see the interest of site, and whether we can select the site depending upon the site staff we are working with, because whenever we are working with the site, the CRC, he should know each and everything about the protocol, because he or she will be working mostly on all the projects, okay, throughout the study. They'll be documenting everything. PI will be overlooking to the whole study. And the next will be the study nurse or site staff who are qualified enough to do this study or not. And then we go ahead with the additional trainings, what they have done, or do they have all the equipments or space to do this study, or the PI or CRC, they have adequate time to do this study, because you will see some of the PIs or CRCs, they get overburdened, they work a lot, and they have lots of study in hand, and that's why they will not able to give you much time into the study. So that you have to evaluate. And there is what is the possibility or strength to collaborate with the sponsor in future studies, that we see from the study when we provide, okay. And to cost of conduct is the versus it is a proposed funding. So like whenever we select a site, we always see that how much cost they are going to add, or how much they are asking, because that negotiation is always important for a PI or for any site to do the study, because they will have their own expenses, and we have a fixed budget to provide. So we have to negotiate on that, and then we can proceed with the study requirement. Like there is further like moving ahead to EC and RA. So whenever we are going to RA, we have to provide them, as I said, the geographical location, that is important. PI is qualified, and he should not be having any bad reputation or something back data which is not reliable to go ahead with the study. So those kind of information always we should look for and to go further. And the next is, whenever we are looking for the feasibility, we should see all the things like they have all the facilities like CT, MRI, and ECGs and other things which are required for the study, and everything will be written in the protocol. So you have to just go through the protocol and you have to ask for the feasibility and see the feasibility. And whenever we do a site selection, it is totally depend on the protocol, with how feasible is to conduct that study at the site, or how feasible we can do the protocol at the site. And the next part comes is EC. So whenever we are communicating to any sites, the EC, the ethics committee is very important, because some ethics committee, they don't do some kind of studies like PK studies. Some of the ethics committee, they don't allow PK studies. Some of the ECs, they don't allow phase 2 studies to do at the site. So that kind of information we have to collect from the site, and how feasible they are to conduct this study, whether we will receive the question from the EC or not, and that we have to confirm at the time of feasibility, or at the time of pre-selection visit, when we visit to the site for the first time. So we have to find all the things related to budget, related to contract, and apart from that, related to ethics committee and their requirements. And depending on that, we can me as a CRA, so my next action will be like, I'll be coming back to the site, and then I'll be working towards my report. I'll be submitting it to sponsor, and we'll see that whether sponsor will approve that, because it will be always an opinion from the CRA whether we can go ahead with the PI or not. And you will not find it is very difficult to take even 15 to 30 minutes from PIs to communicate. So mostly you will end up just doing the protocol discussion with PI, and the rest of the things with the CRC. And there are many difficulties we face whenever we are at the site, because it is very important that CRC should be experienced. And really it is challenging when sometimes when the PI will leave the call, or he will leave the premises, because he will not able to attend the meeting because of some other importance, or because of the emergency. So at that time also we have to look into the integrity of the study, and even we should try to understand why PI is leaving the call, or why he is not able to join, and when we can connect again. So it is very important that we should try to understand them, then only we'll able to go ahead with the study. Okay, so and the next part is like, this is the pre-award, and what we do. And whenever it is like, whenever we start the study, it is the big hurdle, because if it is not getting, and I'll tell you, whenever we do feasibility, or whenever we do the site selection, till site selection part, it is very important that we proceed with the right manner. Otherwise, most of the studies, in 10 studies, you will find only 2 to 3 studies which goes to the recruitment part, or the site activation part. Before that, it is like everything you have to work on and endlessly, and you will find yourself that, okay, it did not work, and we have to back off. So sometimes it happens, but yes, we do try our best to get the study on board, because there are so many factors which are involved, like regulatory. Sometimes we never get approval from the regulatory for the same, or we get a lot of query, we stretch a lot until till that time other countries, they recruit the patient, and we end up doing nothing. And sometimes the EC, they raise lots of questions on the protocol, and then we keep on amending the protocols, and we again we end up just leaving the study as it is, or sometimes we leave the site. So that is a possibility. We and startup is like, the start is very important. And if you are recruiting, if your target is recruitment, then you have to find out whether you have selected a good site, you have a good EC to work with. RA is it is totally independent, even the EC, but you can identify the timelines, the how the response they give. Because if you go to government site, it is very difficult to deal with the EC. Even it is more difficult to deal with them than RA, the regulatory part. So it is very important that we look into those things, and then only we select the site. So I think that's it from my end. So any questions? I'll give half an hour to for the question and answer round, because I think there is nothing much to speak about feasibility, but I'll definitely answer all the questions about people, what they understood in this half an hour, and what they want from me. So questions, please.
Yeah, dear delegates, if you have any doubts regarding the feasibility, you can ask.
Or anything, ma'am. It is not just feasibility, but it is anything they want to ask,
Yes,
or,
yes.
or they think I can answer.
Yes.
Anyone?
If you have any doubts, any questions,
So it is a good platform to interact, or like to ask questions, uh, than just sitting back on a mute,
some
because here you'll get the opportunity.
they are asking like what type of any trainings are there for regarding the feasibility and all. They are asking like before startup. Hello.
Sorry, there was a technical error, I think. Hope everyone can hear me clearly.
Santosh, they are asking like any confidential agreement is required, either MO is required with the like team. Regarding the training is required for data collection, it will be done, and you can, yeah. These are the some
So
questions they have asked in the chat.
some question. Okay, because I can see chat box, ma'am. Yeah, I'll just try to answer. First thing is like MOA. MOA is like MOA whenever you are doing with see, MOA is something we look for whenever you are having any external labs, okay, or you are working with any SMO. You should have a MOA with them internally, and we never ask until unless it is required, and we see that it is a outside facility or it is not a part of university. So we always ask for a MOA between you and them, because it is ultimately a responsibility of university and the investigator that whatever third party they are working with, whether it is a facility, like any facility they are trying to get from outside, or archivals, or sometimes labs, or sometimes the SMO. So they should have MOA with them. And training per se, ma'am, the training was regarding to the protocol, or it is in general training what is required to do the feasibility, or what kind of question in terms of training it is. So I just wanted to more brief on that.
Training required for data collection, it will be done by, sir, can you have the questions regarding this? We are not unable to read the question clearly. Sir?
So it's regarding, is there another question? I'm the person who asked the question. I'm Santi. So I'm audible now?
We are unable to listen, madam.
Yes.
Yes, it
It's
is. It
regarding,
is loud.
it's regarding that you have said that the sponsor or the organization is preparing the document. So the person who is responsible for the data collection. So whether they'll be getting any training and the document can be updated because the organizers, we are not going to prepare the document most of the time. So the person who are involved in data collection, whether they be trained and what kind of training they get, and whether there will be any involvement of people from investigator to develop the document.
Okay, so I think, ma'am, what I understood from your question is like you want to understand whether some kind of training will be provided to the site staff for collecting the data, right? Am I correct, or is it something else?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So yes, this point. Whenever we start the study, ma'am, it is yes, it is also a part of startup. It is not a part of feasibility, but yes, it is part of startup, that we make sure that everyone has they have completed all the trainings required for the study. There will be lots of training, like list of trainings, like protocol, and on the IB, or on the IB, or on the pharmacy manual, or apart from pharmacy manual, there is a lab collection. So all the training will be provided, and before we start the study, we make sure that all the trainings has been completed by the site staff, and even this will be ensured at the time of site initiation visit. And for the data collection, yes, we ask site, or we ask the site staff and even the PI to collect to add the EDC, to complete the EDC. It is the electronic data capture with which they have to complete, and they should complete it on time. So before the site activation, or at the time of site initiation visit, that can be provided or confirmed by the CRA, whoever is visiting at the site. So that should be there. So after completing the training only, they will get the study access or to enter the data. And apart from that, if any new CRC in terms of training you are telling, so if we are finding that if any CRC which is new and they don't know anything about the clinical trial, we make sure that they are trained, and we follow each and everything, and any questions if they have, they can reach out to us. So that kind of communication we keep always between the site, and because whenever they are recruiting the first patient, it is very important uh, in terms of recruiting the first patient, because it will be like the first time we will be working on the protocol, and even the site, they'll be working, or they'll be recruiting the first patient. So it is very important, there might be some consequences, or uh, the uh, the issues with the protocol or questions. So whenever and there are everything, there is involvement of systems. So whenever you have any questions, we use a system where we ask questions about the protocol. We just put the questions if we have, and we get the answer within 24 hours. So the medical experts, they provide their opinion on the protocol, who has already worked in the protocol or who has prepared the protocol. They provide their experience on the same, and they provide their opinion how we can proceed with those kind of things. And definitely we provide all the trainings to complete the data entry. I hope that answers your questions, or if you want to ask something else, I'll definitely provide the answer to it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And I will be disturbing you by asking one more question. If it's okay, can I continue, sir?
Dear
Sorry.
delegate,
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding the practicality, like legal issues or regulatory issues, what will you facing at the initiation? Like, what you came across during your work profile? So, what will be the basic legal issues or regulatory issues that
Shashikala ma'am, did you get the answer question? Because I did not able to hear
uh,
it clearly.
can you drop your questions? We are unable to listen. It is not clear. Voice is not clear.
Yes, it is.
Can you drop your questions in
I
the?
think it is echoing.
Yeah, a lot of echo is
It is
there. Unable to.
echoing. So in a short also, yes, yes. Even if you just drop a small, like one-liner question, then also I'll able to answer or brief you about the same. Till then, any other question? I was expecting a lot of questions like what I should do for going into the feasibility. Yes, yes. Okay.
What
Yes,
madam
ma'am.
is asking, legal or regulatory issues we have to beat alert? She has put the questions. Legal or
Sorry. For regulatory. Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay. Legal or regulatory issues we have to be alert. Okay. Can everyone hear me, or am I audible so I can just answer?
uh,
Can anyone confirm?
she wants to ask regarding some feasibility when we do the feasibility of a particular site. Any legal or regulatory issues may arise, either any alert is required, something she is asking. I hope, I don't know exactly.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So I think even in the chat box, it has been mentioned that the legal or regulatory issues we have to be alert. So legal or regulatory, I'll tell you, your protocol should be very clear. And if you understand, it is a little bit difficult, then we get many questions, because it is not always that all the protocols are perfect, perfectly prepared, or perfectly elaborated. So many times we get questions like that. We have to just provide a supporting, because now I'll tell you, for the regulatory we use Sugam is a portal where we go through and we apply the projects. So whatever protocol we are getting, we prepare all the things. Being a startup specialist, I should know each and every regulation. So I actually work for India. So I should know each and every regulation from DCGI, how to apply for import, how to like whenever we are adding for an investigational product, how to apply for import, or how what kind of questions or what kind of documents will be required. So mostly we face the issues like sometimes it is the quantity, what quantity you are importing, whether it is justifiable or not. So that is very important, that whenever you are importing the IP investigational product from outside of India, you have to, whenever you are applying for import license, you have to provide them a proper justification with the proper calculations, so there should be no questions or query asked. The second thing is about the protocol. So protocol IB or MPD, we receive lots of questions about the protocol or IBs, and in terms of feasibility and regulatory, and it is like every time you have to just be ready with the answers. if they need any data, the previous data or the previous study data, you have to be ready with the data, because it will be there mostly in the protocol, but it is not there, then you have to provide a supporting evidence, and it will get approved. So what exactly actually RA do is, like, whenever we submit, it is within 1 month we get a meeting, which we will being conducted, and we from, like, me, or if I have submitted the protocol, I'll be visiting to Delhi in front of DCGI. I'll be with the sponsor or with the medical expert to present, and whenever there is a need of help or support uh, mostly related to site selection, we support them and provide them all the data about the site. So whenever, and in terms of feasibility per se, what kind of regulatory questions we get is like, they ask questions: why you have not selected, let's suppose AIMS, why you have not selected this site, why you have not selected this government site, so, and why you have not gone through the geographical location. So it is not that whenever we are uh, telling India is a part of the study, we cannot just select Maharashtra or Gujarat and go ahead and give them the sites. So it is very important that we select sites from all the part of India. So the data which should be clear, and it should cover all the part of India per se. So they mostly ask these kinds of questions, and they reject the sites because of that, and they tell us that you have to either select a new site, or you have to find the correct geographical locations, you have to cover everything. And sometimes we get queries like, why you have selected, for example, some projects we get is, there can be a internal medicine person can be also selected. For example, if we consider COVID, so for COVID, it is like you can select a medical internal medicine also, you can select the pulmonologist. So it is depend on the requirement and depend on what happens in the meeting. So sometimes they ask, we don't want internal medicine person, so that time we go for a PI change or investigator change, because that is being requested by by DCGI. So that is very tricky situation where we have to go back to investigator and tell them that we cannot select you, but if there is any pulmonologist, we'll definitely go ahead with you. And we can always try to explain them what happened and why we are doing this, and uh, what further action or what support we can provide. So we can keep him as a sub-I instead of PI, and we can select a new PI. So that kind of queries we always receive in terms of feasibility, in terms of they always ask, like, why you have not selected such big hospital, and you have left not to select them for the study. So we always keep the data with us, that we have contacted most of the government site, but they have denied. So we always see that we have reached out to all the geographical location. We reached out to most of the big hospitals or government hospitals where the study can be conducted, but they denied the study. Instead of that, we have not reached out to them. So we should always have a supporting evidence that we have contacted all the sites, but we were not able to reach, or they were not accepting to do this study. So this kind of legal questions we get visible.
So whether it's okay to say they have not accepted our study?
No, they accept our study with conditions. So they say, like, you can conduct this study, but not at this site. You can conduct this study, but you have to cover the geographical locations. So this kind of questions they come. So it is like a condition. You have to just fulfill the condition, and you have to again submit. So there will be like, they don't have any questions on the protocol. They have provided you condition that you change the PI or you change the site. We just change the PI and site, and we submit those response in query to the response in condition. We submit them those response and provide them that, okay, whatever you have asked as per the approval letter, the RA approval letter, we have provided all the details, and now we have done the changes. Please consider it as approved, because they tell directly that you have to do this to consider it as approved. So they will not provide another approval letter, but it will be like a conditional approval. So whenever you are fulfilling the condition, it will be considered as fully approved.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Yes,
So
any
any other questions?
from delegates?
Any question related to job or opportunity for feasibility, something like that? Any questions? I think those kind of questions should come. Even like, yes, it is a feasibility. We have, I think, ma'am has already asked so many questions about the feasibility. And if anything is there, definitely you can ask me. There are so many things to discuss about the feasibility, because whenever you go for interview, whenever you go for any job offer, this kind of questions will be asked. So whatever I have shared, it is like the questions and answers. So conditions, what we'll do, like ma'am has asked, what kind of questions we get from the legal. So that kind of questions also comes from the selector, whoever is taking your interview. So uh, be prepared whenever you are going for such role. Even for the CRA role, they ask about the feasibility. So that is very important. And
Uh,
you should know. Yes,
there,
yes, ma'am.
there is one more question from the madam. Opportunities for freshers, especially pharmacy and pharmacy practice. What are the job opportunities? I think she's asking.
Okay.
Help her.
Yes, it is really a good question, I think. But yes, so whenever you see fresher, definitely there is a job opportunity. But you have to select a right company, which is important. And even what you want to do, that is very important. What you want to do, it is not that if everyone is getting the job, but I wanted to do something else. But right now we have a campus interview, so definitely most of the people, they see that, okay, my friend is going, so I should also go. No, you should always try, wait, and wait for the right time. You will get the job. It is not that any fresher, because everyone will start from a fresher itself. So don't be hurry that, okay, be in a hurry that, okay, I want to get the job and I want to apply for the campus interview. So if you want to go in that way, definitely you should apply. Or if you want to get a practice, definitely you should do. You should go for interview. You should learn, but be prepared that whenever you get the offer, even if you don't want to select, because it comes that you just give the interview just for knowledge, but you end up joining the job or joining the role, but you didn't want to join. So for freshers, there are many companies, they join, like they select the
Dear,
freshers.
just Santosh, just a minute. Dear,
Hmm.
dear, participant, dear colleague, please mute your mic. If you have any questions, you can unmute. There is a lot of disturbance in between. Thank you.
Birada sir, can you please mute yourself? I think there are lots of disturbance.
Question, what are the main
Yes.
challenges in feasibility during startup of the clinical trial?
Okay. So challenges, ma'am, mostly we see during feasibility, we see the site selection is very important, and we see sometimes we don't get right facilities. So sometimes we don't get facilities at the site. Sometimes the PI is not qualified, and he's not aware of anything. So it is very important to know about the PI, read about the PI, whether he has done any study or not. So to find out, what we do normally is we search, we go through CTRI, our Clinical Trial Registry India. We go through that. We just add the PI name, and we just Google it, add the PI name and add CTRI. You will get all the data. So whether in past he has done any study, he has participated in study or not. So if he has participated in any one study also, that means he know about clinical research. Because whenever you get the feasibility, you never know whether you are getting it from PI or you are getting it from site, like some site staff is sending you that feasibility. And when you go face to face and when you just go for a pre-study visit, you find out the PI doesn't know anything. So that should not be there. And we find so many PIs that they are enthusiastic to do the study. And mostly it happens for the cancer studies, because the medicines and the other things, which is very costly, but it helps when there is a clinical trial involved in it. So they get supporting drug or standard of care, along with that the new drug which we are testing. So that is there. And finding the second challenge come is CRC. The CRC should be qualified enough to do the study, or they should have an idea what is exactly that needs to be done at the site, because it get difficult for a CRA to provide any suggestions over a call, because we normally visit once in a month to the site to get the data reviewed. But it is very difficult to, if they are not understanding, otherwise we have to prepare everything and we have to provide them. So it is like a spoon feeding to them, and which cannot be done. So it is very important that we should have a CRC who knows everything about the documentation, or it is like they can do with just a guidance. And starting from CRC, I can say anyone who wants to join a clinical research, starting from CRC is something which is very important. And because you will have lots of information about the clinical trials, because that is a start. Okay, so you will have lots of information, you will understand what exactly clinical research is, and then that information will add to your further career. So that is really important. So these are the some of the queries we face, or some of the issues we face when we select the site, we do the feasibility. So PI, either PI or the site staff, or the equipments, or the EC, so or sometimes even institute, they don't agree. So this kind of issues we get, and that's why we end up rejecting the site for the feasibility. I hope this answers your question, ma'am.
Santosh, I have one question.
Yes.
How it is differ from India and other country? Like, what is the feasibility setup and all?
Feasibility.
Because most of the time you deal with in Indian scenario. So what about now you are in Sri Lanka?
Yes.
Know that confidentiality will be there, but how like feasibility you are going to handle, like how it will be there?
So, for example, if I'm in Sri Lanka right now, so everyone, like in other countries, it is like India. India has his own regulatory body, BCGI. Sri Lanka has an MRA. So it is like everywhere you'll go, they have different regulations, and you have to go through the regulations first, try to understand how they work. So here it is not like we don't have any direct contact with the site. So here it is like we work with the SMO. It is one SMO for whole Sri Lanka. Whenever you want to do any study in Sri Lanka, you have to reach out to them, and they will reach out to investigator. They will find everything. They will arrange CRC. They will talk to PI. They will coordinate for each and everything, and they will get it done for you. And that is comes under it is, you can say SMO, but it is a regulatory body itself. So regulatory body, they have, whenever you want to talk to even RA, you have to reach out to that SMO in Sri Lanka. So normally whenever we want to do any feasibility, we reach out to them. We ask them whether it is feasible to do this study or not. And we have seen even like some other countries, because I'll share the recent experience of mine, because we were looking for one study for dengue. And as you know that in India, it is very seasonal thing for dengue. But in Sri Lanka, in Pakistan, or in Bangladesh, it is very common. So the patients will be there for all 12 months. So and the patient pool is more. So for Sri Lanka, we can contact here, but we were trying to contact in having a contact or to do the feasibility in Pakistan, but it was very difficult to find out because there were no SMOs or there were no proper channel. So it was very difficult to go through how to talk to PI. We tried to communicate directly with the investigators, and we tried that whether we able to do the study or not, because even PPD has done a few studies in Pakistan and even in Bangladesh. So Bangladesh is also same like Sri Lanka. We have to connect with some SMO, and then we can do the feasibility. We can reach out to PI or talk to them, and accordingly we can complete the feasibility for them. And that also being handled by PPD itself from India, because it is nearby countries. So we handle all the regulations about, we read about the regulations first. Sri Lanka, what they need, what are the requirements, what kind of ICFs they need, because like India, we have AVICF and other things. So, and as a being in a startup, we make the ICFs for the site and country as per the country requirement. So for that, we should know each and everything about the country, the regulations, what we have. So that is very important for us to go through the country regulations. Whenever you are preparing an ICF or the site documents, you should understand what should be there in the ICF, what should be mentioned in the in the in the any site subject related files. So such kind of queries also we receive from regulatory, that ICF is incomplete or that regulation is not added. So compensation part is not added. Some kind of questions like that we receive. So it is very important that you be thorough about the regulation whenever you are doing a feasibility or part of a startup. It is very important that you know about the country regulations before going ahead.
Thank you so much, Santosh. Yes, delegates, any questions, any doubts now? If there are no doubts, then we can wind up because he's busy now and I think he has a meeting now. Really, it was a wonderful and 1 year you took busy time also. Thank you so much, Santosh Shukla. You have made it a wonderful talk. And in future, if you required any help, definitely we will contact you.
Definitely.
And for our job opportunities and other things, we'll give you contact numbers of our students. So you just help them.
Mostly I'm just dropping my phone number, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Even need, you can contact me.
Yes, yes, yes.
Plus, I'm just
Yeah, thank you
having
so much.
official email ID.
Yeah, thank you.
And okay. So I've just added in a chat box. Anyone need any kind of support or any kind of guidance, I'll definitely be there, because I really think that if I go back 6 years back, I see that that if someone would have been there to just guide me, who was there in industry, it would have been really help to select where I should go, what I should do, because it is very important what first step you take, and that is all we do, whether it is feasible or not, and from where we start. So definitely the feasibility in clinical trials and feasibility in our life, it is same. So whether it is feasible for us to go ahead, it is very important. So whenever you have a single doubt, you want to reach out to me, without hesitation, you can contact me. At least not for till 16th, because I'll be in Sri Lanka. So after that, you can anytime you can just ping me. It is my WhatsApp number. You can ping me if you need any guidance. I'll definitely be there.
Thank you so much, Santosh. Thank you so
Yes.
much. On behalf of Department of Pharmacy Practice, behalf of AICT sponsored QIP program, I thank you. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for participation.
Okay. So next session we will start at 11:45 and we'll wait for, I think now it is 11:30. Yeah, we'll wait for another 15 minutes and then we'll continue the second session. Thank you so much. Hi Sonia, good morning.
Hi, ma'am. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, fine. After a long time, we are meeting each other now.
Yes.
After how long? 7 years?
5 years.
5 years. Okay. So shortly we will start and we are waiting for participants. Almost 35 participants have joined.
Okay.
Can we start?
Shall we wait for some time? Let everyone join.
No. We will start quickly. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all for the day 2 of AICT sponsored day 3 of quality assurance program on the theme emerging trends in clinical research and development. It's my privilege to introduce today's speaker, that is Miss Sonia Nayak. She is alumni of Kelly College of Pharmacy, Belgavi. She completed her B.Pharm and M.Pharm from Kelly College of Pharmacy, and she completed her M.Pharm in pharmacy practice in the year 2017. And she was also awarded with the Dr. C.D. Kokate Gold Medal from Kelly University in the year 2017. Her work experience is she worked as CRC for 1.5 years in various trials in Kelly Hospital, and then she joined IQA Mumbai with a campus interview in the Department of Safety Associate in Pharmacovigilance Center. Then with that experience, she moved to Centralized Monitoring Department and currently working as Central Monitor for Clinical Trials since 2 years. With this short introduction, I request Sonia to start her program. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. Hi everyone, I'm Sonia, and without wasting much time, I'll just start with my presentation. Just a minute, I'll just start sharing my screen. Just let me know once you're able to see the screen. I'm not able to share the screen. Is there any?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you enable it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sonia, now you can share your screen.
Thank you. Just a minute. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just a minute, I'll just put it in the presentation mode. Okay, so today I'll be talking about preparation of protocol and investigator brochure for clinical trials. Okay, so what is a protocol? Basically, it's a document that would include everything that has to do with your clinical trial. Even if a layman looks at the document, should be able to understand what you are going to do with the protocol, right? Like, because before getting a approval, it is presented to the ethics committee, it is presented to various people, and only after the approval, it will be finalized, right? So in the ethics committee, there will be people who will not be from the medical background. That is why it is important that it should be in a very descriptive manner, and it should include everything that is to do with the clinical trial. So protocol is a document that would describe the rationally is the purpose of, like, why are you conducting the trial, what is the purpose of the trial, the objectives, the design, methodology. Just a minute, I'll just minimize the screen. Okay. Design, methodology, statistical considerations, and organization of a clinical trial. Now, who are the members involved in the development? That it will be the principal investigator, medical monitor, clinical research associate, biostatistician, research scientist, and a medical writer. Now, these are the elements that should be included in any protocol. It should be background. Background would again talk about your medication, what is the background study that has gone into it, and what is your study molecule going to be like, and what all effects it is going to have, study rationale. Then there will be study objectives, study design, selection, then study treatment, study procedures, what are the adverse events and serious adverse events which are expected as well as unexpected adverse events. Then the discontinuation of the subjects. Now, discontinuation of the subjects can be either because of personal reasons, or it could be because of any SAE that has occurred, or it could be because of the protocol violation. The protocol violation, it is also known as protocol deviation. It is, in layman term, it is like you're deviating from the protocol, right? In a protocol, every step-by-step process is given, and if you're not following any of it, you're deviating from it, right? So example for it would be like a subject is supposed to visit the site for a particular test, and there is a given specified time period within which the subject should require. For, like, say example, 10 to 14 days is the window period, and the patient doesn't turn up in that particular period. So that would be considered as a protocol violation. Then there will be statistical consideration. Now, whatever study that we are conducting, now it has to be, translated to the outer world, right? Like, whatever studies you have conducted, whatever findings you had, whatever observations you had, there has to be some, it should be presented to the world, right? And it can be done only in the form of data. That is how it is, that is how you can present it to the world. So that is why we'll need this statistical considerations. We'll need data collection and monitoring, then the ethical and the regulatory considerations. So we'll be discussing all these pointers in detail further. Now, coming to the main thing, like as per the ICH GCP guidelines, there are set topics which should be included in a protocol when you're writing a protocol. Okay, so the first would be the general information, the protocol title, the protocol identifying number and a date. Any amendment should also bear the amendment number and date. And then there should be address, there should be contact number, there should be the authorized sign on the protocol and the protocol amendments. Okay, now anybody can tell me why amendments are required? Or you can use the chat box, I cannot see the chat box. Okay, let it be. I'll just go ahead with it. So there are certain times when okay, I can see the chat box. Sometimes we have updated information. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, this is exactly the reasons. What happens is many a times there are updating of the information, because of which we require newer versions, because though we do all this thorough study for a protocol, as the time goes, we get more new learnings, there are new findings, and we need to keep adapting as the time, as the situations come. And that is why we need newer versions, we need newer amendments. Sometimes these amendments are country specific, sometimes they are, globally. Like for example, there was a study which was conducted globally, okay, and had to that molecule had an impact on the cholesterol levels. So because of that, it was a requirement in the study that the lipid parameters were monitored every 6 months. Now, what happened is, when that study was conducted in India, given to our food habits and the eating style, it was noticed that it had more impact on the cholesterol levels. So they had to bring in a newer amendment only specific to India, and which included that they had to monitor the cholesterol levels every 3 months instead of every 6 months. So these will be the amendments. So when you bring in the country specific amendment, there would be, in the version name, there would be a country code also be included there, in the version date, so that once you look at the protocol version, you can identify it. Okay, this amendment was made only in this country, and this was version number so and so. Excuse me. So this is the example of how, sorry. So this is the example of how a clinical study protocol should look like. It should have a well-defined title. It should have your molecule name. It should have your protocol number. It should have your utericity number, the sponsor address and the contact details. It should also have a version date and the version number. So coming to the background information. Now it should have a chemical composition of the chemical product which is well defined. Excuse me. Okay, so you can define the chemical composition and the chemical product. Then you can mention the disease or condition for which the investigational product is being evaluated. You can provide a brief non-clinical data that has clinical significance. You can provide a brief summary of the clinical data available that is relevant to the study. Also, you have to highlight the benefit and the risk ratio. Now, you have to, be able to, sorry, able to justify why your benefit will outweigh the risk and why it is going to, serve the humankind and in a positive way. There should be a statement in the trial that it will be conducted in compliance with the protocol, GCP, and the applicable regulatory requirements. Now, it is not just a statement. You should actually be, compliant with all these regulatory requirements. And there is a team which will be, which will conduct audits and all to make sure that this compliance has been followed. Then there should be reference to the literature and data that are relevant to the trial and that provide background for the trial. Now, trial objectives and purpose. The objectives and purpose of the study should be well defined. Like, for example, like primary objective, like what are you addressing? What is your specific aim and objective by collecting appropriate data? Then the secondary objective would be additional desirable outcome from the trial. Now, it could be, a better lifestyle, or if for a cancer patient, the assurance that the progression wouldn't be that bad. So it can be anything depending on the study that you're performing. Then comes the trial design. This selection includes a description of the type design of trial to be conducted. Trial could be double-blinded or placebo-controlled or parallel design. Even for design of trial, it can either be observational or it can be interventional. Then there should be a schematic diagram of trial design procedures and stages involved. You should be able to, put a structure to your procedure, how you are going to conduct it, and in what phases it will be conducted. Then the description of the methods to avoid a bias such as randomization and blinding. So these days, what happens is randomization, blinding. It is more of computer based. There is something called as IWRS and IVRS, which will be randomly selecting the patients and assigning them the randomization number, or randomly selecting the patients who will be blinded. And IWRS stands for Interactive Web Response System, and IVRS stands for Interactive Voice Response System. The expected duration of subject participation, sequence, and duration of all trial periods, including follow-ups. Also, for how long you are going to follow up the subjects, and if in case the subject discontinues, then also if the patient is consenting for a follow-up, all these information should be included in the study design. Then complete treatment regime will be described, like in what intervals you'll be giving the dosage. Like for example, if it is for a cancer trial, then it should be in cycles. And if it is for a normal condition like for cholesterol or diabetes, then how is the frequency, whether it is BID, TID, or once in a day, like that. Coming to the selection and withdrawal of subjects. Now, subject inclusion and exclusion criteria will be one of the most important criteria. So inclusion criteria will include that how what are the parameters based on which you will be taking the subjects in, or what are the exclusion criteria because of which subject cannot be taken into the trial. It could be anything. It could be gender, it could be age, it could be it could be a certain kind of disease condition. So there should be a well-defined inclusion and exclusion criteria. Also, subject withdrawal criteria, like if you are terminating IP or a procedure, like for example, why if a subject is withdrawing, what can be the reasons? Either it will be personal reasons, or it could be because of the protocol deviation, that a major protocol deviation that has happened, or it could be lost to follow up, or it could be because patient has withdrawn the consent from the study and doesn't want to continue it further. So those criteria should also be well defined into the protocol. Then the treatment of the subjects, blinding, how what will be the treatment arm, whether the subjects will be on the comparator arm, or will be the subjects on the placebo, how many subjects will be in the placebo. Then the formulation of the medication, packaging and labeling, dosage regimen, the storage conditions, the temperature at which it should be stored. It could be either at room temperature, or it could be cold storage, or whatever requirements are there for your storage. Then the study drug accountability, how that accountability should be done, at what after every visit, should if the patient is required, if the drug accountability is required after every visit, then that should be well defined. Then the treatment compliance, and then the study procedures. So your study procedure should be well defined. That is, if there are certain types of visits, then at every visit, what all procedures will be conducted, what will be the parameters, or what will be the tests that will be conducted. Okay, and the demographics, vitals. So if you can see in this is just a demo. Okay, so you can see that not all the parameters or all the tests are conducted in all the visits, right? So so all these things should be well defined. Then coming to the assessment of efficacy. Now, how do you assess it? Hello. Okay, so specification of the efficacy parameters like methods and timing of assessments, how many blood draws would be there, then how do you plan to assess the efficacy, whether your medication that is being given is efficacious or not. Like for example, if it's a medication going on for cholesterol, then you would be there will be periodic blood draws that would be required to test whether it is having any effect on the lipid parameters or not. So like that, that if any assessments are specific to your study drug, then all of that should be mentioned. Then assessment of safety. How are the safety parameters being assessed? How are you going to report the SAEs or AEs? What is your system? There should be a well-defined system, for the reporting of your SAEs and adverse events. Then what are the type and duration of follow-up of subjects after an adverse event? Like how long are you going to follow up with the patient? Also, how are you keeping a tab on, if the condition is ongoing or not? So, or like few studies, prefer to follow up the adverse event till it is resolved, or few do it till it is, subsiding. Now coming to the statistics. Now this is the most important part, because I call it most important because this is the tool with which you can, translate all your everything that you've done in your study. This is the tool with which you are going to translate your data and, present it. This is how your data will be coming out to the world. So the data sets that will be analyzed, what will be the data sets, then the demographics and baseline characters that will be considered, like analysis of primary and secondary endpoints, adverse event rates, then the interim analysis. So this interim analysis, once a SIV is finished, right? Once the randomization, once site is initiated and the clinical trial starts, right? Then there will be the randomization process that will start. And there will be a point where randomization stops. From that point onwards, till the closeout of the trial, that period is called as maintenance phase. Now, in that maintenance phase, there will be interim analysis that will be carried out. What happens is there will be specific data points which will be time frames which will be decided by the sponsor, and within sorry and within that time frame analysis will be carried out. And this will, what they have to do is, in that set point, whatever data has been recorded in the EDC till that point will be collected by the data management team, and they will be using, there is something called as interim data. Even when the clinical trial is being conducted, there has to be a tab on whether it is going as per the protocol, whether the you are getting the desired results, whether it is on your plan, whether just to check if it is going as how you had planned it, right? So that is, all this data should already be there in the protocol. Then the direct access to the source document. Okay, the sponsor should ensure that it is specified in the protocol or a written agreement that that will permit trial related monitoring or audits or regulatory inspections, because there are sometimes surprise visits, surprise audits. So at that time you should be able to produce this data. Obviously subject related personal data, that you cannot provide it to the auditor, but the source document or anything that has to do with your trial, that data should be available to them. Then there should be quality control and quality assurance measures. There will be monitoring team which will be monitoring these entire activity during the maintenance phase to ensure that the sites are complying to the regulatory and FDA requirements. They are in compliance with the GCP guidelines. So they should be what are the steps that will be taken to ensure that. Then there will be ethics committee. Then there should be a description of ethical consideration relating to the trial. data handling and record keeping, like what are the tools that you'll be using, to capture the data, how will you be managing the data, then how the archival will be done. Now archival is something that has to be done after the data study has been closed out. So what are your plans for that? How long do you intend to keep it in archival? Then coming to the important part, that is financing and insurance. Now financing and insurance, usually there is something called as financial disclosure and all, but a few of the sponsors also include it in the protocol. So that's up to the sponsor now. About how the financing will be done, how much of compensation a subject would be paid, how much of amount would go to the go to the institution. There's something called as institutional overhead charges, then the PI. So all these details, then the insurance details, everything can be included in the protocol. Then the publication policy. Once your clinical trial is complete, if it is not addressed in a separate document, then it should be addressed in the protocol. That how do you intend to go for publication, or how do you intend to make this data available to the public. Now moving on to the investigator brochure. Like if any of you have any questions related to protocols right now, you can park it till the end. We'll be having a question answer session, so we can address those questions there. Okay, so moving on to the investigation brochure. So what is an investigator brochure? It's a compilation of the clinical and non-clinical data on the investigational product that are relevant to the study of the product in human subjects. Now, when I say non-clinical data, that would be, it can be any data related to the animal data, which is, relevant to the, which has a clinical significance, right? Like, for example, if any molecule is supposed, shoots up your BP. So that is a clinical significance, right? It will be significant for us. So any data like that should also be included in the IB. So it should provide key features of the protocol, like dose frequency, methods of administration, then safety monitoring procedures. The information should be presented in a concise, simple, objective, and balanced and non-promotional form that enables a clinician or a potential investigator to understand it and make his or her own unbiased risk-benefit assessment of the appropriateness of the proposed trial. If the investigational product is marketed and its pharmacology is widely understood by medical practitioners, an extensive IB may not be necessary. Or you can, just make it a concise IB. But it is always a good idea to, keep sometimes what happens is your molecule might have more than one indication. So in that scenario, it is always advised that it's better to have your own IB. So where permitted by regulatory authorities, a basic product information brochure, package leaflet, or labeling may be appropriate alternate provided, including current, comprehensive, and detailed information for all aspects of the investigational products. If a marketed product is being studied for a new use, then an IB specific to the new use should be prepared. The IB should be reviewed at least annually and revised as necessary in compliance with the sponsor's written procedure. Relevant new information should be communicated to the investigators and possibly to the institutional review boards or independent ethics committee before it is included in the revised IB. A sponsor is responsible that IB is up to date and it is, distributed to all the people who are related to the study. Now, the general considerations the IB should include, that is the title page. This should provide the sponsor's name, the identity of each investigational product, and the release date. It is also suggested that an edition number or a reference to the number and date of edition in supersedes be provided. This is the example of how a title page for investigators brochure should look like. It should include your product name, the research release date, etc. Coming to the confidentiality statement. The sponsor may wish to include a statement instructing the investigators or recipients to treat the IB as a confidential document for the sole information and use of the investigators team and the IRB. That is because, until and unless the molecule is not out in the market or is not approved, it is, because the sponsor has put in a lot of efforts into, the research and development of the products. And there are other reasons as well, because of which confidentiality is a must. Then the contents of the investigator's brochure, the table of contents, the summary, a brief summary of what should be given, then highlighting the significant physical and chemical, pharmaceutical, pharmacological, toxicological, and all these data which are relevant to the investigational product. It should have an introduction, what is the active ingredient of your IP, then the pharmacological class, its expected position in this class, the rationale for performing the research with the IP, and the anticipated prophylactic, therapeutic, or diagnostic indication. Then the physical, chemical, and pharmaceutical properties. Non-clinical studies, as I mentioned earlier, any animal study if it was conducted, then the effects on the humans. It can be pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics, the product metabolism, how it is metabolized, then how long it remains in the body, then safety and the efficacy of the product. The IB should provide a description of the possible risk and adverse drug reactions to be anticipated on the basis of prior experiences with the product under the investigation which is related to the product. A description should also be provided of the precautions or special monitoring to be done as part of investigational use of the products. Then coming to the marketing experience. Now, marketing experience would be, there should be, mention of all the countries where, these products are already marketed. And they should also mention the countries in which they are not marketed, or if it was rejected. And if it was rejected, then what were the reasons for the rejection? So the entire data should be present there, as in it is available in which all countries, what are the trade names in which it is available, what is the indications for which it is used in certain countries. So all these data should also be included in an IP. And coming to the end, the reference was ICH GCP guidelines, and I have used certain material from the YouTube, which was again in compliance with the ICH GCP guidelines. So with this session, we are open for the question and answers.
Thank you so much, Sonia. Dear participants, if you have any questions, you can message in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and you can ask questions to Sonia. Okay, if there are no any questions, on behalf of Kelly College of Pharmacy, Belgaum, from Department of Pharmacy Practice, I thank Sonia to give her valuable time in a busy schedule and giving a lecture on very good topic, which will be helpful for all the participants and even for all the students who are pursuing their who wants to join clinical research or clinical trials. So once again, I thank you, Sonia, for giving your time. If you have participants, please, if you have any questions, please ask, or even you can put a message in the chat box. If there are no any further questions, you can leave the meeting, and the post lunch session, it's going to start at 3 o'clock, and the topic is on study designs in clinical research. So thank you, Sonia, for your valuable time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So, Sonia, can you please change the host to KLE University?
Okay. Can you help me with that? How do I do that?
One second. You can go to participants.
Okay.
Then the first participant is KLE University Belgavi. There you can change the
More option.
more
Make-
option. Yes, make as a host.
Okay, done.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Bye.
Bye. Take care.